Hi, how are you today? I
Hi
hope
guys.
you're doing well. Yeah, it's been a busy day. I am a bit tired. Are you tired?
A bit, but not that much.
Moses is Maka, even the accent has changed. You said a bit. I'm a bit tired.
I went to the airport, so I picked up an accent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how my day has been. I'm tired, but it's been fruitful, productive, and I'm happy. I thank God for the day. It's almost Christmas.
Yay!
So,
I'm receiving presents, Christmas presents. So, yes.
Moses is like, so send money. That's the only present you can give me. I will link my number somewhere.
Yes, down below in bold.
Yeah, so today, our fun fact comes from Moses.
Yes, actually, I was telling Rehema a few minutes ago that, in Kenya, we are used to saying thermos. Yeah, thermos for tea, the one she's drinking. So, thermos is actually a brand. The actual name of that utensil is a flask. So it's a thermos flask. It's a flask that is called thermos. So thermos is the name of the company that is making that kind of flask. So for Kenyans out there, the name is not a thermos utensil. It is a flask. Yeah. So that's the fun fact.
I did not know that. I thought like flask is that. I knew flask is related to tea, but I also thought a flask is that. See that like tiny flask people put alcohol in their coats? Yeah, that's also
The
a
one for
flask, right?
shots.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
a slender
Yeah.
thing that fits in your coat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so flask means that, and
Yeah.
the thing that holds all your tea, water, and whatever hot beverages you put in there.
Yes. Or even cold. I think you can use a flask to preserve the coldness of something.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
You can comment down below. Is a flask only used for hot things or to preserve chilliness?
I only use this for hot drinks. I don't. Is there any cold thing I drink? Or when I say hot drinks, I don't mean like the English hot drinks, like lit drinks, like hot beverages. That's what I mean. Yeah. So today, oh yes, today we're talking about something tough, and it's tough because it's about the tough times of life. So if you've been through a hard time, a hard season, you feel like a hard day turned into a hard week, turned into a hard month, turned into a hard quarter, a hard half of the year. Oh, it's been a hard year, and then now you're like, okay, it's just a hard season. I have come to discover the way there's this Bible verse that says we get to see God's nature with creation. And I've learned that one of the things of God's nature is God is cyclical and seasonal. So you can see this, we have day and night. Yesterday was day and night, today will be day and night, tomorrow there will be day and night, night and day. It is a cycle. It goes on and on. You'll have rain. For us here in Kenya, you have hot, dry January, February. March, April, May, we have rains. June, July, we have cold. August, September, it's hot. October, November, and part of December, it's raining. And then we start again, dry, raining. There is a pattern. If you're abroad or wherever you are, you have spring, summer, autumn, winter. Life is cyclical. Even how God made human beings, a woman's body is also cyclical. You know, it has a clock at the end of the month or whenever, and whatever your cycle is, whether it's at the beginning, at the middle, at the end, you have your cycle. Your body knows after 9 months it's time for baby to come out. There's times and there's seasons for everything under the sun, and we can see that in Ecclesiastes 3. It says for everything there is a time and a season, it's appointed hour. And that is the same thing with hard and nice, soft life, hard life, I say, guys, of soft life and hard life. You can see that pattern. We have times of plenty and times of lack. We have times of rejoicing, times of mourning, times to tear down, times to build up. Time for, I already said rejoicing and mourning. That's in Ecclesiastes 3. And there's going to be times in your life where you struggle. And you're not struggling because there's something wrong internally. You're struggling because the external world is harsh and it's tough. And we can see this when Joseph was in prison. He interpreted the vision of the king. The king saw this 7 thin cows eating the 7 fat cows, and no one in the land could interpret the dream. And Joseph, who had been in prison, was called, and he said, yes, God helps me interpret. So the 7 fat cows are 7 years of plenty, and the 7 thin cows are 7 years of famine. And the fat cow and the thin cows that ate the fat cows, it means that the famine would ravage the land. It would consume the land for the 7 years. And they started preparing for the famine. And how we live in life, how you live in your years of plenty sets you up for how you will live in your years of famine, in your years of less than, in your years of lack. What you store away, the way we are told the ant doesn't eat everything, she stores away for the winter. How you live in the summer determines how you live in the winter. Those times you're of, constant revival, I feel God's presence. When you don't feel like God is there, you're not seeing like God is faithful, God is with you. What you picked up from your years of plenty, your years of revival after revival, is what will take you through your season of dryness, your season of lack. Because that's just how life is. Jesus also said, in this world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. So it doesn't mean that God is punishing you when things are not going right. Could I have done what differently? My life is horrible. Maybe it's because I forgot to give offering, or I didn't pay tithe that month. I'm being punished from the heavens. No. That's not it. You have seasons, and it's an unrealistic expectation to always think your life will be upbeat all the time. You'll never feel pain. You'll never feel sad. You're always just thinking, good vibes, great hits. It's going to be awesome all day, every day. Yes. There are times you'll be sick, times you'll feel angry, you'll feel hurt, you'll feel sad, you'll be confused. Where am I in life? Everything was great 3 months ago. What is happening? That will happen, but take heart. Jesus has overcome the world, and we are overcomers.
Yeah.
We are more than conquerors through him who loved us. You can get through it, but that mindset of everything will always be happy, sunshine, lollipops, rainbows, if you know that song, expecting everything to always be that way, that is not biblical, because we can see from nature, from God, from the scriptures, that there is a time and appointed season for everything.
Yes. Just picking up from there, the trials we go through, or the valleys that we go through, it helps us to be resilient. If I may read in the book of Philippians 4:12, it says that, I'm reading the ERV version. It says, um, let me look for an easier version. I think this is good enough. So it says that, I know how to live when I am poor and when I have plenty. I've learned the secret of how to live through any kind of situation. When I have enough to eat or when I'm hungry. When I have everything I need or when I have nothing. So what we're seeing here is resilience. And this resilience is built by tribulation. As Christ said, he said that we will go through tribulation.
Yeah.
And in the present day society, if you go to our churches and it's testimony time, someone comes and says, I have a testimony today. 90% of that testimony story comes from that place of, you're going through something which was not good. It was a valley, okay? But you conquered it. So trials and these valleys, they are a part of life. But I feel I should mention that, because the question becomes, why do we have to go through these valleys? Why isn't it uphill all the time? As you've said, you're having a good time all day, 24/7, 365 days a year. It's just a good time. So first of all, we should remember that we live in a fallen world. I believe there's a reason why the fall of man is actually in the first book. God did not come to Revelation and say, oh, by the way, back then man fell. He did not say that in Revelation. He said it in Genesis, because it sets the stage for everything else and gives us a picture of how the world was and how it is because of the fall of man. Now, another thing is that the fallen world is not God's mistake or error, because God created a perfect world. He created a world where there was no death. Actually, back then, even animals did not eat each other. You can look at Genesis. It says that God instructed Adam to eat from the field. And it also says that all the animals, they were eating from the field. They were eating the herbs and the plants. So there was no, there was no cannibalism. There was no death. But because of the fall of man, death came into the world. And as soon as man fell, you can read in Genesis 3, it is where the first killing took place, because we are told that God made Adam and Eve tunics of skin. Of course, that skin was from an animal. So the fall of man brought about what we see today. Before the fall of man, plants and food used to just sprout wildly. But because of the fall of man, because man had fallen, the ground was cursed, in that man had to toil. God told Adam that you will toil to get food. So whatever we're seeing in this world that we're living in, it is a fallen world. And the rampantness of evil and the fallen state of the world was at its height during the crucifixion of Jesus, because what Christ came to experience, he bore that brunt of evil and suffering of the fallen world. He faced the full face of that brokenness, in that Christ came as a man, and instead of people embracing him, they crucified him. Okay, it is the height of evil. But another reminder from that is that as much as Christ suffered because of the fallen state of the world, we gain comfort from the fact that out of it, we see that we get the good news, the gospel that we preach today, is because Christ conquered evil forever. When he was at the cross, he said, "It is finished." So out of that darkness, we get the light that is our hope for today. So hills and valleys, at that time, no one could have seen or could have thought that out of this we will get the greatest testimony or the good news that we preach even 2,000 years up to now. We're still preaching the resurrection of Christ. But that was born out of adversity and suffering, and Christ tarrying in the valley to birth this thing. And the thing about valleys is that, first of all, Psalms 23 says that even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. So you're walking through, you're not staying there. You're walking through it. And it is not a place that you will remain forever, but it is that place where you will get a testimony. You will get out of it, some good will come out of it. Not in the sense that, we don't go out there looking for suffering. Yeah, it's not like now, I need a testimony, let me go and look for suffering. But because the fallen world will always take us through such tribulations, we should not forget that it is finished. Christ conquered evil, and the same way we will. We are in the fallen world, but there is hope for us. Another thing I want to say is that, it's easy to say that, if you're in the valley or when you're in the valley, it is easy for us to be angry and say God is cruel, God is this and that. But there's another perspective that we need to look at life, because as much as, we're going through these tribulations, there's no one who will say that, I'm going through this, I'm angry with God, let me even die. Of course, some will, but majority will be like, yeah, I'm angry with God. But when a gunman comes through the door, what will they do? They'll not say, I'm even ready to die. They'll bolt out and climb out of the window. So out of all this, we might be saying that, the world is this, the world is cruel, we have this and that. And it is not God's fault, because man chose out of free will to choose evil. So, but as much as we go through all these things, part of us realize that being alive is a privilege. Being, existing here, walking on this earth, is a privilege. And as much as we may say, oh, we're suffering, we're doing this, majority of those people who say that, if they're faced with a life-death situation, they will choose life. And so it shows us that deep down, we know it is a privilege to be alive. Even if we're in a fallen world, God has made it beautiful for us through many ways. He said that I'll send you a help, I'll not leave you alone. Even when you look at mankind as a whole, you find that if God wanted us to suffer, there are so many extras that he would not have added to creation or to how he structured us. If I may use an example, even if we say, we're going through suffering, we're tribulations left, right, and center, you'll find that there are so many extras God has added unto our engineering as humankind. Because when you look at yourself in the mirror, if an animal looks at itself in the mirror, it may not recognize what it is, okay? But when you look at yourself in the mirror, you're like, this is Jean, this is Moses, this is who I am, I'm proud of myself, I am handsome. So those are extras, because if God created us just for utility, it would have been just like the animals are. You find a lion, hunt, eat, sleep, raise kids, keep hunting, eat, sleep. So everything is built for utility. Like the lion will never, it will never be like, it wakes up today, then it says, oh, the sun is so good on my skin, I feel good. Those extras that we have, that even the animals don't have, they show us that God intended for us, even in this fallen world, to experience glimpses of that glory, the glory of his creation. When you see, the beauty of a snowflake, when you breathe in the smell of fresh air, let's say you're in a forest, then you breathe in, such small things remind us that even through all this suffering, God still loves us. Yeah, so this is a message of hope, and I'm also inviting a fresh perspective to it, in that when you're going through whatever we're going through, let us remember that we live in a fallen world, but even through that, God has and is doing very many things to make it beautiful for us. Let us cling to that hope of Christ. Let us allow the Spirit to help us through this walk, through our tribulations, through our highs and through our lows. Yes.
Yeah, and to add on what you've said, so there's scriptures that talk about we are refined in the fires of affliction, that we go through struggles, that let perseverance be mature and lead to, you can find it, I don't remember the exact wording, but we see these things, and you might thinking like, oh, why must we be refined in the fires of affliction? Like, that is so adverse, like hard line. But we see, the way Moses said, we're in a fallen world. And part of being in a fallen world means sometimes things that shouldn't stick to us, stick to us. And what I can remember is we have this steel pot that we use to deep fry stuff. So usually what happens if you don't change the oil, wash the steel pot immediately after you use it, if you use it for a couple of uses, the oil starts to get sticky around the pot, on the inside of the pot. It starts to get sticky. And the only way to wash that out, if you have experienced this, you are aware, hot water, boiling hot, could burn off your skin. Hot water with a degreaser and steel wool. I don't know what you use in your country, but there's steel wool. It's literally steel on steel. And you take the hot water and you have to really scrub. And as you do that, you can start to see the shiny part of the steel coming out. And as I was, for my first time, I ended up doing that. And as I was scrubbing that thing, the water was so hot I had to get gloves. And I understood the verse, we are refined in the fires of affliction. Because I can tell you for free, I was afflicting that pot. There was scrubbing hot water. There was a lot of work going into that with the hot water and everything. And as I was doing that, all those things that stuck, the impurities came off and exposed this steel, shiny. I was like, you couldn't even believe it was the same pot. And sometimes as you go through life, some things will stick on you that you don't really need stuck on you. Self-esteem issues, funny mindsets, having haughty eyes, pride, a lot of things will stick on you. And God will be like, we need to expose the real Rehema. We need to expose the true Agnes, the true Brian, the true Anastasia. If any of you are watching, hi. But those things need to be gotten off of you. And the only way to get off impurities, that's why the Bible says we are refined in the fires of affliction. It's when you've lost all those friends and you start noticing, oh, maybe I had started making this person an idol. Maybe I was relying too much on their affirmation and I didn't do what they wanted and they went. Perhaps I had started looking at this as my own provision. I was very impatient. those things are removed in affliction because we are in a fallen world. If the world was perfect, nothing negative would come to stick on you, and there would be no point of you going through this refining process, this sifting, shaking processes that are difficult, that eventually launch you into purpose. They expose who you really are. Yeah, so there is a course on that is coming out next year in January. If you just like to know about it, the first lessons are free. Go on jeanrehema.com, sign up, and when the course is out, you'd be the first one to know. You just kind of get to know, like, who am I, what's all this process about. But never forget that, just the way Moses said, God loves you. Your worth, your value are not tied down to, oh, things are horrible. Life is seasonal, and there's many reasons we have hills and valleys, but the Bible says that God works all things together for the good of those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you all the bad things that happen to you is a refining process, or there's a reason that happens. Sometimes bad things happen because we're in a fallen world and the devil is mean. So I'm not going to sit and tell you, oh, that was God's plan. Maybe it wasn't. But what we are assured of is God is going to use all these things that happened to you, all the bad things you did. Maybe you're the one who messed up and you're thinking, how can I climb myself out of this? God will use all things, works all things together for the good of those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. So everything together will work out. Like when you're baking a cake, the flour, sugar, oil, milk, butter, whatever you use to bake, yogurt, depending on whether you're eggless, gluten-free, dairy-free, whatever you use to bake, when they come together is when they form something beautiful. But if you were to taste the baking soda, horrible. Tasting the salt, tasting the flour, who wants to eat flour? That's gross. It's horrible. But when those things are worked together, put in the heat, come out, they form a beautiful cake. And that's what God will do with the parts of your life: the sugar parts, the flour parts, the baking soda parts, the lemony parts, the bitter, the sweet. They will be worked together for the good. Hard times don't mean God is bad. God is good. Never doubt that. Never forget that you're loved, you're cherished, you're wanted, and you are seen and protected. So go live your life for the audience of one. Tell me your Christmas prep. I'm excited. Yeah, so bye and have a good day.
Bye.